Hello, 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 everyone. I am Coach Chris, and I'm so elated to be with you this Water Walking Wednesday or Walk on Water Wednesday. Listen, guys, let me tell you, I really look forward to our time together. I have so many conversations with you offline, whether it's through Messenger or actual face to face conversations or text messages. And I just want to share publicly how that makes me feel. It just really makes me feel that I'm being used in such a way to be such a blessing to folks in their day to day lives. And that is the reason I'm here. As I have shared with you privately, I am saying it publicly. That is the reason I keep showing up because you have value, and I know that what I have to share is valuable and priceless. And there may be 10 other folks, 100 other folks, 100,000 other folks out there, talking heads, right? Just talking, 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 saying whatever. But I know for certain that there are certain revelations, certain insights, and perspectives that are unique to what has been placed in me to share with the world. So the fact that you tune in, the fact that you have expressed that you're encouraged and blessed and enriched and enlightened and informed as a result of these live streams, I just want to express to you publicly that I deeply, deeply, that really nourishes my heart and my soul. So guys, I am so excited about today. I am so excited about today. As I mentioned earlier, today is Walk on Water Wednesdays. Walk on Water Wednesdays. And this is our Wednesdays are dedicated to those unseen assists or those actions or activities that transcend time and space and matter. And we're going to dive into some key components today because I want to find out from you if you've ever been in a place in your life where you just needed an assist. You needed some help. It's like, man, if I could just get help with this, or you're going along your path and you're attempting to dot every I and cross every T, and you just begin to feel a little fatigued, a little tired, a little worn out. It's like if somebody could just help me lift this load a little, I could regroup and then I'd be all right. If I could just get an open door, I'm knocking, I'm kicking, I'm asking, I'm seeking, I'm doing all the things. And if I could just get a door to open, that would really be great. And then that would give me access to the next step and the next level. I believe that we've all been there. I know for certain I have been there. And there are some techniques that I have discovered over the decades that have really worked well for me and have given me that extra push, that extra um, access, little portal of access. And I want to share that with you today on this Walk on Water Wednesday. Now, first and foremost, walking on water, what does that do? That defies science, it defies logic, it defies everything that is in this natural world. And so I really today want to get into the realm of the supernatural and getting those supernatural assists and how actually to fill your own life with supernatural assists as you pursue your goals and as you level up and as you expand and accomplish those things that are on your heart to accomplish. Um, we love assists. Keep them coming, keep them coming. So let me just share something with you first and foremost. And I'm just going to read the definition of supernatural. Supernatural refers to the phenomenon, events, or beings that are beyond the laws of nature, or attributed to forces beyond scientific understanding or explanation. Some of us might just say mind blowing. Some of us might say just miraculous, right? It often involves elements such as, now this is the definition, ghosts, spirits, magic, or paranormal occurrences that cannot be explained by natural laws or processes. So let me be just crystal clear from the outset. In this broadcast today, we will not be speaking about ghosts. We will not be speaking about magic or about paranormal occurrences, but we will be speaking about an environment where divine access, and it'll be under the category of divine access, divine assists, uh, divine support begins to manifest in your life, begins to come into fruition and show up in your life, and where another individual or another entity faced with the same set of circumstances that you are, then something supernatural just transpires, and you're granted favor, you're granted wisdom, you're granted insight, you're granted information that you need so that you can move forward. This is what our focus is going to be on today. Now, I'm going to say this to you also. I'll just give you a little bit of an example, because I love using this example, because I think everyone can pretty much relate. My oldest son, years ago, when he was going for his PhD, uh, uh, he was in a PhD program and he was working in the lab. And one of his assignments was to grow particular colonies of bacteria, different colonies in different petri dishes, if you can get that picture in your mind. And his colonies were not growing. His colonies weren't growing. He's a part of this PhD program. And as he describes it to me and to his siblings, he says, there just came a point, after day 2, day 3, still nothing growing, nothing growing. He said, I prayed over my petri dishes that the colonies would grow. And they did. They started growing like over the course of the next day or so. The colonies of the bacteria, whatever germs that he had in there that he wanted to grow colonies, began to grow. And my youngest son at the time, he said, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't like pray over your science project, because that. And I said, well, why can't he pray? I mean, we pray about everything else. And he was like, well, that's not fair. That's not duplicatable. You can't, like, the next person can't come behind you and your research and duplicate the same thing unless they pray. So I think of that story, though, because to share with you, just to give an example, just a real practical example of how there is divine intervention available to you when you set out to accomplish certain things in life. In fact, I would go as far as saying anything that you attempt to accomplish in life, man, there is divine assistance, divine support available to you, divine help that is available to you. And there is a way, there are things, there are techniques and strategies that you can utilize in order to cause this divine facilitation, divine support to manifest in your life. So I want to share this with you. One of the first things that is so key, we'll call and refer to it as favor. Favor. And when we think about favor, we've heard folks say, coined a little phrase like, oh, well, favor ain't fair. It's like, well, what is it that causes one person to garner favor and the other person not, or what have you? I remember when years ago, and this is just something else that I'll share with you. Years ago, I was applying for a position with LA Unified. I was a school bus driver at the time, and I was applying for assistant area bus supervisor position. I was young, somewhere in my 20s, and oh my goodness, I didn't have 10, 20 years worth of experience, obviously. And I was going in front of a panel of about 5 individuals that had been with LA Unified for eons, and they were like the top 5 heavyweight folks, or their positions were within the transportation branch for LA Unified. And as I prepped for that interview, of course, there was testing process, and I had to complete the test and pass the test with a certain percentage. And then I'm going in front of this board of individuals, 5 individuals on one side of the table and little old me on the other side of the table. And in that instance, again, prior to going to that interview, I prayed and I said, Lord, I just want to knock them off their feet. Just cause whatever they ask me to just let the answers just come just very smoothly, very readily, and let cause me to articulate my answers in such a way that they are just knocked off their feet. And so I had the interview, and when I tell you, I could almost sense just divine presence right there in that room. And I ought not to say I could almost sense it. I could. I felt it. I knew that I was not in that room by myself, that I had divine favor in that room with me. And so I went on and I completed the interview. And I believe my supervisor, my direct supervisor at the time, or maybe it was someone else, got word of how my interview had gone. I had a lot of folks pulling for me and praying for me and encouraging me. And so it was someone else who had position and status within LA Unified got word of how my interview had gone. And they came back to me and they said, "Oh my goodness, you did such a good job." They were so impressed. And I'm like, "Really? Oh, that's so great." I was so excited. And then they said these words. One of the ladies in particular, and this was, I would say, the hardest nut to crack of the 5 individuals. She specifically said that you knocked them off their feet. And those were the specific words that I had spoken going into the interview, that I wanted to knock them off their feet. Now, when I tell you that these types of things, when they happen in our lives, we are elated, we are ecstatic, and we need it, right? It's something that we rely on to cause us to advance, to go from the one level, one step to the next, to the next, to the next. So what is it that causes these things to happen? And what I would present to you today is that it is beyond just imagining it. It's beyond just speaking it and saying it and willing it to be. But there are some specific things that you can do on this Walk on Water Wednesday, some specific strategies that you can keep in mind that increase your access to this divine intervention, this divine assistance, and this divine support. So I want to share with you that you are in control of these things transpiring on your behalf. One of the first things that I'll share with you is this: always show up. Always show up, no matter what. You have to have a different mindset than the rest of individuals that are going after possibly the same position or going after the same everyone wants to progress, right? Everyone's going after, going after, going after. And your concern is not what anyone else is doing, because there's room at the top for a whole lot of us, far more of us than are currently there. There's room at the top. So it never ought to come to a place of competition between the person next to you laterally, right? When you look to your left, you look to your right, You're never in competition with that person. So let's make that number one. You're never competing with the person on your left, the person on your right, or the person who you know who's also applying to the job or applying for the position or starting the new business. That isn't your competition. Your competition is you. Write that down. Your competition is you. And once you focus on that, you then must make a determination on how you decide to show up for yourself. How are you going to show up for yourself? In what ways will you show up for yourself that will unlock supernatural assists, supernatural divine help and support? How will you show up that will cause the paradigm to shift, that will cause the atmosphere to shift? And let me share with you how. Your mindset, understanding that you're not in competition with anyone else. And then what I was, one of the most important things is always showing up. Always show up for yourself. Always show up for yourself. The image that I get in my mind as I'm sharing this with you is a race that and this is something that I've used mentally for myself, and now I'm sharing it with you as one of my secrets that I that I have used down through the years, and so just amazing things have transpired for me as a result. But I've always imagined like a race track, and if you know if you're a person who runs or you're a runner and you run track or you get out there and just run around or walk around the track for exercise purposes or what have you. But when you have a race going on, you have those individuals that are in those different lanes and they're running, whether it's a 100 or a 200 or a 400 or a 4x4 relay or whatever the race is. Of course, number one, you show up, but number two is that you don't stop in the middle of the race. And that is I believe, one of the key components that will stymie us and stifle our progress and work against us in the long run. And so let me break this down a little further to you. It's not just showing up, it's not just being on the right track, it's not just staying in your lane. These are all things that we say, stay on track. I'm going to stay in my lane. Well, yeah, stay on track, stay in your lane, continue to show up, and just imagine that as you are running this race on the trajectory for your life, if you pause, stop, quit, give up, walk away, don't show up, there are other folks that are in their lanes on the same track that are still persisting to go on, to go forward, and to move forward. And as a result, they gain access to whatever those opportunities are that come their way or they run into as a result of their consistency and as a result of their persistence. Now, what are the decisions that I made, and you might take note of this, is I want to always show up for myself. So especially, write this down, this is key, especially under adverse circumstances. In the face of adversity, this is what unlocks that supernatural and divine intervention in your life, is when you refuse to make the excuse, when you refuse to take the off ramp. You might have 100 individuals and 99 of them may say, oh, it's raining today, so I'm not going. When you determine that you'll be the one person that says, I'm going anyway, I'm showing up anyway, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the situation is. Once you put that in the atmosphere, and that is the environment that you create when you walk in a room, I'm telling you, it's almost tangible how that supernatural environment affects what you do as you go forward, the opportunities that come your way, the favor that comes your way, the access, the doors that will open for you because you are now creating when you show up anyway, when you do the work anyway, even when you have reason not to, legitimate reason, even if you're being treated unfairly or if someone or something is working against you and you just want to throw in the towel and quit or not even go for it, when you begin to defy the temptation to quit, to slow down, to make excuses, to run away, to turn your back, and you turn around and you face it anyway and you forge ahead anyway, do you know that that creates a supernatural environment around you? If you didn't, you're learning this today. That creates an environment around you that blasts through walls. There's a momentum, there's a supernatural power, a divine power that is released in the atmosphere around you because you have the mindset, the determination to go forward anyway, to be true to your word, to stand true to your convictions, to your faith, to your focus. When you stand true, unwavering, not tossed to or fro, not easily talked down off of your position, but when you determine to stand anyway, that releases the supernatural divine environments that cause favor to break open in your life, that causes this help and this assistance in your life. Listen, we're talking about Walk on Water Wednesdays. Walking on water defies the laws of nature. It defies the laws of science. Let me give you another example. I love these examples as I have so many. When I was in my early 20s, prior to working for LA Unified, I applied for a job. Well, first, I needed a job, right? I'm like, Lord, I need a job. I need a job. And I went to the classified ads. Back then, we had newspaper classified ads. I don't even know if they have those anymore. And there was this job description at an office not too far from where I lived. It was at a law office. And in the description, it said that the candidate that applies for this job, number one, needs to be able to type 35 words per minute. Now, listen, I didn't take typing, only maybe those 7 weeks that we had it in middle school, but in high school, I had not taken typing. My major, I was a science major, so I had office techniques and physiology and biology and math, I mean, geometry and trigonometry and algebra and all of that. I never took typing. I hadn't taken typing since middle school. So I knew that I didn't type 35 words per minute. I just back then, and now it sounds almost crazy because people are typing 80, 90, 100 words per minute. They only needed me to type 35 words per minute. And I didn't have that qualification. The second qualification they wanted was someone who was bilingual. And although I had taken Spanish, um, I was not, I could not by any stretch of the imagination be considered bilingual. But I remember sitting there looking at this job and I said, I'm going to apply. I'm going to apply for this job. So it's interview day. I show up. This room is filled with, oh my goodness, I want to say maybe 20 people. A lot of them were from Spanish speaking countries. That was their uh, background. And here I walk in and I sit amongst these individuals, and I'm just going, I really can't even remember what was on my mind. I just wanted to get in there and do the interview. And I believed that I was going to get the job. So, long and short, I did the typing test first. Did the typing test first, and I don't know how I did on that typing test. I think I got close to 35 words per minute. I don't know. I can't remember that part. But the second part, I clearly remember. I remember getting the call back saying that I had gotten the job, and I was just head over heels excited about it because during the interview I was asked if I was bilingual and if I could speak Spanish. And I shared with them, I said, I understand Spanish if someone's speaking to me, but I'm not fluent. I am not fluent in Spanish. And there, the person interviewing me said, "Oh, okay, okay, thank you very much." So when I received the call saying that I got the job, I was just absolutely elated. But what I grew to understand later on in life, and this is what I'm sharing with you, this is what I'm sharing with you is that showing up, believing in yourself, and doing what's right, planting those seeds, showing up when other folks won't or don't or feel they can't or have every right not to. Listen, that unlocks supernatural divine favor in your life. This is Coach Chris. I trust that something I've shared with you today resonates with you. I trust that it encourages you to defy the odds, to show up, to be that person that goes the distance, and to always show up for yourself and to allow those next open doors to open up and for you to walk through them in confidence. There will be times, and you will see that the number of times increase that you will recognize that it wasn't anything that you did in the natural with your own intellect, your own skill set, your own set of circumstances that has granted you access to the next level, that it was as a direct result of your tenacity that created an environment of supernatural of advance, supernatural assists in your life. So with that being said, this is Walk on Water Wednesday. Get out there and get it done. It has no bearing on you that the elements that you are dealing with are not designed to support what your vision is, what your dream is. But I'm here to tell you divine and supernatural assistance is accessible to you. Divine intervention is accessible to you. And you are the one who paves the way with showing up, being on time. When people are treating you in an unloving manner, love anyway. When you have every reason not to show up anyway. When you could find every excuse not to do the work anyway. Oh my gosh. The portals, the openings, the access, the doors, the windows, the floodgates that will open for you with supernatural and divine favor and access are limitless, limitless. So this is Coach Chris. Have a phenomenal rest of your Walk on Water Wednesday and get out there, defy the odds. Defy the odds, defy the laws of science, defy the laws of nature, and be your highest and best version of yourself. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.